What's up, everybody? How's it going? Austin Practical Elevate Performance, coming at you live. Trying something a little bit different today in terms of my setup. Just going for different angles and seeing if that helps at all. I didn't really like the last live because it was very kind of looking down on me a little bit, and so I'm gonna kind of do a standing live, I guess, for today. But today I'm going to be talking a little bit about caffeine, how much caffeine is too much caffeine, because everybody, like so many people in the world, drink caffeine. And if you guys didn't know from some of my previous lives I've done in the past, caffeine is the number one most used psychoactive substance in the world. If you guys didn't know that, caffeine's a drug. It is. It's just by definition a drug. But it's one that's socially acceptable, and so I'm going to be talking about that today. And more specifically in terms of like how much is too much, like caffeine, because we all drink it. Some of us probably too much, and some of us maybe think we're having too much when we might not necessarily be consuming more than we currently are. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about it. So what's up, Fadi? How's it going, man? How's it going? So I'm just gonna be talking a little bit about that. And so in general, when it comes to caffeine, just to kind of, I guess, I'll go into a little bit about how caffeine works, I guess. I'm going to do something more specifically for this with my private group. I already told them I was going to. But Amanda says there's no such thing. You are wrong. But that's okay. I know you're joking. And so when it comes to caffeine in general, how it works for most people, well, not for most people. This is how it works in general. So when you consume caffeine, it basically, we have this, like, from the moment we wake up, we have something called adenosine, and it builds up over time throughout the day. And adenosine makes us sleepy. And so it's just how we naturally get tired throughout the day. You'll notice that's why we get tired, is our adenosine levels build up over time. And then whenever we drink caffeine, it basically like suppresses those adenosine receptors, so they can't tell us that we're tired. And so that's why we feel awake and alert and all that good stuff whenever we're drinking caffeine. And so that's why everybody likes it. Sometimes caffeine has a mild, like, euphoric effect for some people if you consume it in large amounts. But there, aside from all the good stuff caffeine does, it also can have negative impacts, and so, or negative effects. And so, things like nervousness, heart palpitations, anxiety. I know I'm not the only person who like has had moments where they've consumed too much, and then you feel like your heart's going to be out of your chest. Like sometimes for me, especially when I was going to the gym, I'd have a little bit too much pre-workout or whatever it may be. And so, everybody drinks coffee. A lot of people, especially if you're on like a fitness journey, you're going to the gym regularly, your pre-workout has caffeine in it, probably a shit ton of caffeine. And so, yeah, so this is important, especially for me. The reason I like to know how much caffeine I can consume and how much I should consume is because I actually like to space my caffeine out and like strategically use it throughout the day, just because of how much I drink, or how much I do, or how much caffeine I consume on a daily basis. And so, to answer the overarching question of how much is too much, currently right now the FDA recommends around 400 milligrams of caffeine per day. Anything more than that, you're going to kind of start to run in the risk of having some of these negative side effects. And just off the top of my head, trying to remember, I think a potentially, because like with anything, like caffeine can be deadly. If you consume too much caffeine, you can die like very easily. Like with anything, there is too much of a good thing. And I think, like, off the top of my head, I think for some people who are sensitive to it, anywhere from like 800 or 900 milligrams plus can be, potentially lethal for some people and cause heart issues. And so take that as you will and take that in consideration. Your average cup of coffee has anywhere from like 50 to like 90 milligrams of caffeine. And a lot of energy drinks, like this one has 160. A lot of your typical ones like a full-on Reign or like a Monster, a lot of those have like 300 milligrams of caffeine. Put that in with two other energy drinks or another energy drink or like a couple cups of coffee, and you're already at your 400 milligram mark. And so you need to be careful about that stuff. I know that there's a lot of people that consume a lot more than that probably shouldn't, and it can mess with your sleep cycle. It can mess with general like crashing and things like that, like energy levels and stuff. So I'm talking about this and just kind of making people aware of this. And so, that 400 milligram mark is not like, for everybody necessarily either. Some people, and it's at the end of the day, it's an individual by individual basis. Like if you're somebody who gets heart palpitations or nervous feeling whenever they've consumed even like a cup of coffee or two, like there are individuals who are super like hypersensitive to caffeine. Your body breaks it down or metabolizes it differently than somebody else. And so for me, in general, when it comes to any sort of stimulant, like it starts affecting me almost immediately, like pretty damn quickly. And for other people, they might not necessarily feel it for like 10, 15 minutes or whatever. And so everybody's kind of different in how they process chemicals and caffeine, and we're also different in terms of how much we can actually handle. And so that's why I kind of want to talk about this. And so like it is proportionate to your size in some ways. It's proportionate to your body weight. It can be in terms of how you personally, your own personal genetics. Like some people can handle more than others. In a lot of ways. And so obviously, probably. If you want, I use this guy a lot in terms of comparison, but like if you're thinking of like some of the world's strongest men, like Brad Shaw or like Thor, like the Mountain, like they can almost certainly consume a lot more caffeine than somebody who's like 5 feet tall. And so think about it that way when it comes to your caffeine consumption. If you're on the smaller side, you probably can't handle as much as safely as much as somebody who is a taller or larger individual. And so just take that stuff into consideration whenever you're consuming caffeine, and like try your best to not go above the 400 milligram mark, because you're not going to have a fun time probably. And there are some studies that have shown that, and this is not to scare anybody because it's pretty insignificant, it can, like chronic overconsumption of caffeine can lead to calcium being leached from your body, typically kind of from your bones, but it's not that big of a deal as long as you're consuming like dairy or some sort of source of calcium. A lot of like fruit juices and stuff are like supplemented with it. And so because it's like a very, very tiny, like it's almost like a sip of like milk or something, and you're replacing everything that the caffeine could potentially have leached. But if you're somebody that has calcium deficiency or like a history of osteoporosis or something crazy like that, like probably want to take it easy on the caffeine consumption. Just a thought. So but yeah, I think that's about it in terms of what I kind of want to talk about today. But yeah, don't like for me, like I'll have like an energy drink in the morning, like to kind of lay out how I structure my day when it comes to my caffeine. I'll have an energy drink or some pre-workout that I made in the morning with my workout. I'll have, breakfast, and then after that, I'll have some coffee, and I'll maybe have like 1 or 2 cups of coffee for the rest of the day, and that's pretty much good. I try to keep my caffeine consumption anywhere from like 250 milligrams to, on days when I'm struggle bussing, I'll hit that 400 mark, and that's okay, or maybe be a little bit under that. But like I said, it's different for everybody, and you know your body best. But try to keep it under that 400 mark if you can, because you're probably gonna do kind of not necessarily more harm than good, but you're not doing yourself any favors, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So that's my life for today. Just want to hop on here for a second and talk about something fun, talk about something interesting that I thought that you guys would enjoy. I actually, I'm really interested, and I've always kind of been interested in supplements in general and just what they do to the human body and what they can do for the human body. And so so I might be doing some more stuff like this in the future on specific topics, potentially. Just depends how I'm feeling. But that being said, I hope you guys have an amazing Friday. I hope you have an amazing weekend. If you got value from this, let me know. Give it a like. Throw some emojis in the chat. tell me if you're watching this right now what your number one takeaway was from this. And if you're watching this a later time, hashtag replay. Let me know that you saw it. Give it a like, tag somebody who might be drinking too much caffeine right now so they can watch this and hear me say, maybe cut back a little bit slowly over time or something like that. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm about to go have a killer freaking weekend. I'm excited as hell for a little bit of time off of work. But yeah, so other than that, hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. See ya.